अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। वंदितु सव सिद्धे ध्रुव चल मणु वमम गदिम पत्ते वो छामी समय पाहुड़ मिणमो शुद्ध केवली बणिदम। नमः समय साराय स्वानुभूत्या चकासते चित स्वभावाय भावाय सर्वभावांतर चिदे। So today we will be starting with Kalash number 10, page number 191. At the bottom, Kalash number 10. Atma swabhavam parabhav bhinnam ma purna madhyant vimuktamekam विलीन संकल्प विकल्प जालम प्रकाशयन शुद्ध नयोभ्युदेति। पर भाव से जो भिन्न है और आदि अंत विमुक्त है संकल्प और विकल्प के जंजाल से भी मुक्त है। जो एक है परिपूर्ण है ऐसे निजात्म स्वभाव को करके प्रकाशित प्रगट होता यह शुद्ध नहीं। So in this Kalash, Acharya Amrit Chandra says, the next page, page number 192, the pure viewpoint Shuddhanai, okay? The pure viewpoint Shuddhanai arises illuminating the one intrinsic nature of the self, okay? Atma Swabhav, one intrinsic nature. One means it always remains as one, okay? It never changes into another entity, okay? So the Shuddhanai, the pure viewpoint, arises eliminating the one intrinsic nature of the self, which is distinct from non-self states. Okay. So now under these non-self states, what will come? So external substance will come. The modes of external substance will come. And even our own impure modification that arise due to the instrumental cause of external substances, that also will come. Okay. So the illuminating self is distinct from non-self states without beginning or end. How is that intrinsic self nature of the soul? It is distinct from non-self without beginning or end. That means it is eternal. Then it is complete in itself, not dependent on anybody, not incomplete. Okay. So it is complete in itself. And the last is free from the net of conceptual construction and differentiation. There is a correction. You write down and differentiation. So conceptual construction is called sankalp and conceptual differentiation is called vikalp. Okay. So you write add the word after constructions and differentiations. Everyone write down in their copies. Okay. So now the first Three important words. First one is the Parabhav.
Sir, could you please tell us where to change it?
Second line, free from the net of conceptual constructions and differentiation.
Okay, thank you.
So conceptual construction is called Sankalp and conceptual differentiations is called Vikalp, already given in the bracket. Okay. Now three terms we are going to clarify. What is this Parabhav? Okay. The pure soul is different from Parabhav. What is this Parabhav? So that is being explained. And the second part is what is conceptual construction and what is conceptual differentiation, that we are going to discuss now. Next paragraph. Here within the term Parabhav are included, number one, external substances. Number two, the states of those external substances. And number three, even one's own impure modifications, vibhav bhav, that arise due to the instrumental cause of external substances. Okay. So the word parabhav, okay, parabhav means non-self states. So that non-self states includes three things: external substance, modes of external substance, and our impure modification that arise due to the instrumental cause of these external substances. Okay. So the Parbhav is cleared. This is because the Bhagwan Atma, which is the object of the supremely pure real viewpoint, Param Shuddha Nischay Nai, is distinct from all of these. Okay, is distinct from all of these. All of these means all three. That is Parbhav. External substance, modes of external substance, and our own impure modification which arise due to the instrumental cause of external substances. Okay. So that is clear. Now, to establish a sense of mindness, okay, mindness, apnatva, oneness in dravya karma, bhav karma, no karma, okay, material karma, psychic karma, and quasi karma, okay, quasi or quasi karma. You can write down the names of the dravya karma, bhav karma, no karma, okay. To establish a sense of mindness in dravya karma, bhav karma, and no karma, and other material substances, udgal dravya, okay. So to establish a sense of mindness is itself delusion, okay, and that is being referred as conceptual constructions, sankalpa, okay. To establish a sense of mindness in dravya karma, bhav karma, no karma, and other material substance is conceptual construction, sankalp. And for Gyan to be known as differentiated according to the distinctions among objects of knowledge is conceptual differentiation. Okay, is conceptual differentiation. So you know now conceptual construction and conceptual differentiation. Conceptual construction we already knew that oneness in dravya karma, bhav karma, and no karma and other material substances. Conceptual differentiation, and for Gyan, that is knowledge, to be known as differentiated according to the distinctions among objects of knowledge. Okay. So in our knowledge screen, many objects are reflecting. That is called Gne, objects of knowledge. Okay. So to be for Gyan to be known as differentiated, okay, differentiated according to the distinctions among the object of knowledge, okay. So knowledge to be known as differentiated according to the distinctions among the objects of knowledge is conceptual differentiation. Okay. I'll explain in Hindi in one sentence. Okay. ज्ञेयों के भेद से, ज्ञेयो is object of knowledge.
Sir, if you don't mind, sorry, page number, can you tell me that in the
162 in Hindi.
Thank you.
ज्ञेयों के भेद से ज्ञान में भेद ज्ञात होना, ज्ञेयों के भेद से ज्ञान में भेद ज्ञात होना ये विकल्प है. ओके. ज्ञेयों के भेद से, ज्ञेयों के भेद से मीन्स distinctions among the objects of knowledge. ओके. और ज्ञान के भेद मालूम होना, and knowledge to be known as differentiated. Okay. That is called conceptual differentiation. The Bhagwan Atma, which is the object of the pure viewpoint, Shuddha Naya, is free from these conceptual constructions and differentiation. It is beginningless, endless, a complete entity, Paripurna Tattva. In it, there is no deficiency of any kind whatsoever. Since it is complete, so there is no deficiency of any kind whatsoever in the pure soul. Pure soul is beginningless, endless. That is, it is eternal. Then it is complete in itself. There is no deficiency in it. Okay. In these colors, the nature of the self, Atma Swabhav, which is being discussed and which the pure viewpoint, Shuddha illuminates upon its rise, that very Atma Swabhav is the object of vision. Okay. So, in these colors, the nature of the pure self which is being discussed is here expressed by the name Shuddha. There, sorry, in these colors, the nature of the self which is being discussed and which the pure viewpoint, Shuddha, illuminates upon its rise. That very Atma Sabhav is the object of vision, Drashti ka Vishay. Okay, the one that we studied in verse number 6 and 7. Okay, same object of vision, Drashti ka Vishay. That is being cleared here also. It is only through its support that Samyak Darshan, Gyan and Charitra are attained. That means when you take shelter in the object of vision, okay, that is our pure soul, Samyak Darshan, Gyan, Charitra is manifested. The three jewels are manifested. Okay. The Bhutarth Nahi that was referred to in the 13th Gatha is here expressed by the name Shuddha Nahi. Okay. So Shuddha Nahi, Bhutarth Nahi, or the Param Shuddha Nischay Nahi, all means the same. Therefore, through Bhutarth Nahi, the knowledge of the Padarths was called Samyak Darshan. Here, through Shuddha Nahi, the knowledge of the Atma is called Samyak Gyan. Okay. There, through Bhutarth Nahi, the knowledge of the Padarth, the 9 elements, was called Samyak Darshan. Here, through Shuddha Nahi, the knowledge of the soul, Atma, is called Samyak Gyan. So this is all about Kalash number 10. Now we move on to the Gatha number 14. The attributes that have been ascribed in this Kalash to the Atma, which is the subject of Shuddha Nahi, are nearly the same as those given in the forthcoming Gatha. Therefore, since they will be discussed in detail there, it is not necessary to go into their detailed explanation here. So now these five points, okay, from 5 different viewpoints, the pure soul would be explained. Okay, so that is verse number 14. Okay, I'll read the verse number 14. जोपस्सदीयपाणम् अबद्धपुट्ठम् अनयं नियदम् अविशेषमसंयुक्तम् तं शुद्धनयं वियाणीः अबद्धस्पष्ट अनन्यनियत अविशेष जाने आत्मको संयोग विरहित भी कहे जो शुद्ध नए उसको कहे. That viewpoint which perceives and knows the Atma as free from bondage, untouched by anything external. So this is the first adjective, okay? That viewpoint which perceives and knows the Atma, pure soul, number one, as free from bondage, untouched by anything external. Number two, devoid of otherness. Number three, beyond movement and stillness. Number four, without distinction. And number five, free from any association with what is other, anya sanyog rahit. Okay. Free from any association with what is other, O disciple, know that to be the pure viewpoint. Okay. So, the one who sees the pure soul from these five adjectives is the pure viewpoint. Okay. Now, this will be explained through different viewpoints. One from the conventional viewpoint, one from the real viewpoint. Okay. So, from both the viewpoint, we will see the same thing, that is the pure soul. And in each adjective, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev has given different examples for each adjective. So for 5 points, we will have 5 examples, okay, in the commentary. So this is the meaning of the main verse, which is written by Kunkund Acharya Dev. This Gatha is an extremely important one, as it clarifies the subject of the Shuddhanay. Okay. The Tika composed upon it by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev is also profoundly deep. After explaining the meaning of the Gatha and the Tika, Pandit Jaychandji Chhabda, in order to elucidate the subject further, begins his Bhavat with the following passage. The Atma appears manifold in 5 ways. Now, all these statements are from conventional viewpoint. Okay. First, since beginningless time, owing to its association with karmic matter, it appears bound and in contact with karmic particles. Okay. It appears bound and in touch. In touch also we can say in touch. In touch, in contact or in touch with karmic particles. So this is number one, Abadda Spasht. Second, Ananya. Because of the influence of karma, it appears in different forms as human, hellish, subhuman, heaven. Okay, all these. Number three, Avishesh. No, not Avishesh, but the first Ananya Niyat. Okay, Niyat. Third one is Niyat. The indivisible units of potential, that is power. Avibhag Pratichet, indivisible unit. Okay, the invisible unit of potency both decrease and increase. This is the nature of the entity. Therefore, it does not appear eternal, fixed and uniform. Okay. This is all being said from the conventional viewpoint, not from the real viewpoint. Real viewpoint will be coming up in the next paragraph. Number 4, it appears distinct because of the many attributes such as darshan, gyan, charitra, etc., etc. And the last point, associated with the modification such as delusion, attachment, and aversion that arise due to the instrumental cause of karma, it appears in the form of pleasure and pain. Okay, so these are the 5 adjectives. When we see it from the conventional viewpoint, it appears like that. Okay, but when we will see from the real viewpoint, that is coming up in the next paragraph. All this is the subject of the conventional viewpoint. In its impure substantial form, ashuddha dravyartik roop vyavhar nae. From this perspective, all this is true. Okay, from that perspective, it is true, Satyat. However, the single nature of the self is not apprehended by these viewpoint. Which viewpoint? Conventional viewpoint. Okay, the single nature, the unique nature of the self is not apprehended by this viewpoint. And without knowing the single nature, how can the self in its true sense be known? Okay. Therefore, by adopting the other viewpoint, its counter opposed pure substantial viewpoint. That was impure. This is pure substantial viewpoint. Shuddha dravyartik nae, also known as real viewpoint. And by taking the mode of the self as nothing but an extraordinary knower only, Gnayak Bhav, Gnayak Matra. If it is seen from the perspective of the pure viewpoint, Shuddhanai, as distinct from all other substances. Number 2, identical in all modes. One present you cut down, you write identical in all modes. Identical in all modes. Number 3, free from decrease and increase. 4, devoid of particularities. 5, free from instrumental states. Then the manifoldness which appear in all the 5 states is unreal and not true. Okay. So here Acharya is showing us 2 perspectives. One from the conventional viewpoint, how the soul will look, and one from the real viewpoint, how the soul will look. Okay. So we will, the whole Gatha is about these 5 adjectives only. Okay. And these 5 adjectives we will see from 2 different viewpoints. Okay. Let's see the commentary of Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev in the next page. Page number 195. Question. Yes. So question is not part of the commentary, but the answer is part of the commentary. So we will read the answer. Regarding the realness, bhutarthanai, or unrealness, abhutartha, of the states such as bound and touched, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev has elaborated extensively in Atma Khyati commentary. Okay. Through various illustrations, which are as follows. So now 5 adjectives will be explained. The experience of the unbound, okay, untouched, abad, asparshed. Okay. The experience of the unbound, untouched, that is first, number 1. Then non-other, ananya. Non-other means identical, 1. Okay, 1. Non-other. Number 3, constant, niyat. Number 4, non-differentiated, avishes. And number 5, unassociated. Atma is the pure viewpoint. Okay, so this is the pure viewpoint. and that experience is itself the Atma. So when you see the pure soul from these 5 different adjectives, okay, that experience is itself the Atma. And thus one Atma alone shines forth. Okay. So one Atma is illuminated only. Okay. The Shuddhanai, the experience of the Atma and the Atma. Shuddhanai, experience of the Atma, Anubhuti. Okay. And the Atma. All are one and the same, not separate. Okay. 3 different names, but it is all same. Shuddhanai is or experience of the soul or the soul. All are one and the same, not separate. Okay. So 5 adjectives has been said in this first paragraph. Number 1, unbound, untouched. Number 2, non-other. Number 3, constant. Number 4, non-differentiated. Number 5, unassociated. Okay. Remember this 5. So we will see from this perspective. Now, the question, this is again part of the commentary only. How can such an experience of the Atma occur? How can such experience means such 5 points that has been described? How through these 5 points we can experience our soul? Okay, that is the question. Answer. The experience can occur because the states such as bound and touched are unreal. They are not real. They are being said from the conventional viewpoint. Now this very point is explained in detail through 5 illustrations. Just as, so each adjectives is explained through each illustration. So we will have 5 illustration and 5 adjectives. Okay. I have prepared a chart in Hindi and I have given it to the translation team for the translation in English. Hopefully, I'll be receiving it by tomorrow so I can share. Okay. But still, that time I am sharing in Hindi. So, tomorrow it will be translated to English. But right now I'm sharing the Hindi one. So, you can refer whoever knows it. Okay. So this chart, I have manually made it. Now it will be typed in English and they will send that across. Okay. So from this chart, all these 5 points would be at a glance. Okay. But we will be reading the each point and also its explanation. Okay. So its explanation is there in page number okay. So in page number 199. Okay. Before we touched on these 5 points, let's move to page number 197. Page number 197. First, we will see what are the perspectives here. Okay. Yes, 168 text. Yeah. In the above statements, the expression that have been used frequently when experienced through modes. So this is one viewpoint, and the other is when experienced by approaching the nature of the substance. Okay. One is Paryay Swabhav, one is Dravya Swabhav. One is conventional viewpoint, one is real viewpoint. Okay. One is true viewpoint, one is untrue viewpoint. Okay. Does this mean that the modes too are to be experienced? That is the question. Oh dear, it is not a matter of experiencing in the literal sense here. The discussion concerns knowing. In this context, the word anubhav, experience, means knowing. In this regard, the following guidance given by Swamiji is extremely useful. Whenever the phrase when experienced through modes occur, the term experience should be understood to mean knowing. only knowing. Okay, when experienced through modes. So when the experience is through modes, the experience means only knowing through modes. Okay, and wherever the phrase when experienced through the substance occurs, the term experience should be understood to mean knowing by refuge in the substance. Knowing by refuge in the substance. Okay. Okay. So in the above 5 statement, 2 standpoints are mentioned. What are the 2 standpoints? Next page. The standpoint of viewing from the perspective of association, sanyog, mode, paryay, and differentiation, bhed. So this is one perspective. Now this perspective is called abhutarth न्याय. Okay, ashuddh न्याय and vyavhar न्याय. 3 statements. Okay, the standpoint of viewing from the perspective of association, mode, and differentiation are ashuddh न्याय, abhutarth न्याय, vyavhar न्याय. Vyavhar न्याय is conventional viewpoint. Okay, abhutarth न्याय is unreal, and ashuddh न्याय is impure viewpoint. Okay, the second standpoint of viewing by approaching the nature of swabhav, by approaching the nature. Okay, by approaching the nature means द्रव्य अभेद स्वभाव के समीप जाकर देखना. That is शुद्ध न्याय, भूतार्थ न्याय, निश्चय न्याय. शुद्ध न्याय is pure न्याय, pure viewpoint. Bhutarth न्याय is real viewpoint, and nischay न्याय is again real point of view. Okay, so through 2 ways of seeing the thing, 2 perspectives. One is from the conventional point, other is the real viewpoint. Okay, now we can move to the original commentary by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev. In every point, 2 viewpoints would be explained. So we are referring to the first viewpoint. We are on to page back number 196. Yes. Yes. Okay. Just as when a lotus emerged. So the first example is about the lotus. Okay. Just as when lotus a lotus leaf emerged in water is experienced or observed from the viewpoint of its mode of being touched by water, it is being touched by water is real. Okay. So in general, you know, the lotus, the leaves by nature, they don't touch the water. Although they are in the water itself, but they don't touch the water. That is the unique nature of lotus. Okay. So here it is said that observed from the viewpoint of its mode of being touched by water, its being touched by water is real when it is being seen from the viewpoint of mode. Okay, from the modification of point of view, we can see the lotus has touched the water. But sorry, it's being touched by water is real. True. Nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the nature of the lotus leaf, which is fit not to be touched even in the slightest degree by water, then it is being touched by water is unreal, untrue. So the first logic becomes untrue. When we see from the nature of the pure soul, when we see it from the real point of view, when we see it from the real point of view, okay, the leaf of the lotus being touched by water is unreal. It is not touched by water because by its nature only, it is fit not to be touched even the slightest degree of water. Okay. In the same manner, now they are connecting it to the soul. Okay. First, they gave the example of lotus, lotus leaf. Now they are putting it in they are making us understand the principle by applying in the soul. In the same manner, when the soul, bound since beginningless time, is experienced from the condition of being bound and touched by Pudgal Karma, then boundness and touchedness are real. Okay. So when seen from the modification point of view, it is real that the soul has touched the karma, Pudgal, and it is bound by karma. Okay. It is real, true in that respect. Nevertheless, when they say nevertheless, that means the Acharya changes the viewpoint. Nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the nature of the Atma, Swabhav ki drashti se, which is fit not to be touched even in the slightest degree by Pudgal, then boundness and touchedness are unreal, untrue. Okay. So from one perspective, it is true. From another perspective, it is untrue. From the conventional point of view, it is true. The lotus has touched the water. Okay. But from the real point of view, the lotus has not touched the water. Okay. So that is being explained here. If we want to expand further this point, we can move on to the page number 198. We'll read one by one, side by side. So page 198, last paragraph. Darshitji, you read.
Sorry, sir. You want me to read from among the 5 attributes?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So this is the detailed explanation of the one that we read now.
Among these 5 attributes, the term abad sprashed, unbound and untouched, indicates the Atma's complete distinctness from the non-self. When the soul has no connection whatsoever with what is non-self, how can there even raise the question of its bondage to karmas? Likewise, since the Bhagwan Atma there does not exist, the attribute called touch, sparsh namak gun, how could anything ever touch it? In the Agams, where the notions of bondage to karma and contact with what is non-self are mentioned, the Atmakhyati Tika has clearly explained the sense in which these are real and at the same time clarified that when viewed by approaching the true nature of the soul, Atma Swabhav, the notions of bondage and of contact with the other are entirely unreal. This point becomes perfectly clear through the example of the lotus leaf submerged in water. Although the lotus leaf lies immersed in water, yet owing to its naturally dry and unwettable nature, it does not become wet even in the slightest degree. In the same way, though this Bhagwan Atma exists amidst karmas, by virtue of its unbound and untouchable nature, abad aparshi swabhav, it forever remains unbound and untouched by them. In this way, through this attribute, the Bhagwan Atma, which is the object of vision, is established as distinct from the non-self.
Stop. So first point is clear. Okay. Two perspective. One is to see the thing, to see the soul from the approaching the true nature of the soul. One is from the true nature of the soul, and one is to see from the modification point of view. Okay. So when you see from the modification point of view, the soul is bound and touched by karma. But when you see from the nature point of view, okay, then the soul is unbound and untouched by the karmas. Okay. So first is clear. Now number 2. Go back again to the 196. Yeah. So we'll read away. Priyanka, you read.
Jai Jinendra, sir.
Hmm.
Just as when clay is experienced through its modes paryai, such as a vessel, a pot, a bowl, and so on, otherness, that is anyatva, that they are different and separate from one another, is real, true in that sense. Nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the one nature of clay, which is entirely unfaltered, that is, not even in the slightest degree differentiated by all distinctions of modes, then otherness is unreal, untrue. In the same manner, when the Atma is experienced through modes such as human, infernal, and so forth, otherness is real, true in that respect. Nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the one consciousness from nature, which is entirely unfaltered, that is, not even in the slightest degree differentiated by all distinctions of modes, then otherness is unreal, untrue.
Hmm. Now again go back to page number 199. Second point is explained in detail here. Yes. By expression Ananya Visheshan.
Okay. So continue from here.
Yeah.
Darshiji, if you can scroll down a little bit more,
Yes.
just a bit higher. Thank you.
Hmm.
By the expression Ananya Visheshan, actually, the Bhagwan Atma, which is the object of the Shuddhanay, has been described as beyond the manifold modes of substances, that is, Dravya Paryay, that is, beyond dissimilar substance modes, and also beyond the modes such as human and hellish embodiments. This becomes clear from the example of clay, the pots, jars, and bowls, etc., made from it, that although the pot and the bowl are distinct and separate, the pot is not the bowl, and the bowl is not the pot. Yet, when we do not look at the pot and the bowl as such, but view them as the clay from which they are made, then both the pot and the bowl are in fact only clay. Therefore, they are not truly different from each other, they are non-different, one and the same in essence. In the same way, although the human being and the hellish being are distinct and separate, the human is not the hellish and the hellish is not the human. Yet, when we do not look at the modes of the human and the hellish as such, but rather see the Atma that underlies them, which which pervades and remains identical in all modes, in all those modes, then the human is indeed the soul, and the hellish being is also the soul. Therefore, the hellish and the human are not truly different from each other, they are non-different, one in essence.
Hmm. One more paragraph. Two paragraphs are there. Note. Next page.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
If viewed from the standpoint of modes, then Marichi is one, and Mahavir is another. By knowing the conduct of Marichi, a sense of non-reverence arises towards him, and by knowing the conduct of Mahavir, a feeling of reverence arises towards him. There arises aversion towards Marichi and attachment towards Mahavir. But when our attention does not turn towards the modes of Marichi and Mahavir, and instead goes towards the Bhagwan Atma that exists pervadingly and uniformly within both those modes, then neither non-reverence nor reverence arises. Equanimity prevails. Neither aversion nor attachment arises. A state of detachment remains constant. Therefore, to view the Atma as divided and separate in the modes of human and hellish beings, as different from one another, is not suitable for the state of detachment. Rather, to perceive it as non-differentiated, identical, and equally pervading within all modes, such as human and hellish, is what is appropriate. for maintaining the state of detachment.
So you see, so when you see the jar, the pot, the bowls, they are different. But in that jar, what it is there? Clay. In that pot, what is the material there? Clay. In bowl, what is the material is there? It's clay. So when you see from the point of view of clay, these things appear as one. Okay. So when you see from the modification point of view, bowl, jar, pot are different things. But when you see from the material clay, these are all one. Okay. So this is the example. In the same way, when you see hellish being, human being, heaven being, okay, and celestial being, or celestial being is heaven being only, subhuman being, okay. So these appears different. They are all different. But when you see a soul unique to all these four states, then it becomes real point of view. Okay. So the Marichi and Mahavir are two different entities. Okay. From the modification point of view. From the soul point of view, Marichi is the same as Mahavir. Because the same soul was Marichi and the same soul is Mahavir. Okay. So this is the second point. Okay. One perspective from conventional viewpoint or the modification viewpoint, and the other perspective is from the real viewpoint or pure viewpoint. Okay. Now we will see the third example.
So, sir, sorry.
Yes.
So this point is in connection to Nikshep.
Yeah, both in every point they have presented the both viewpoints. If seen from the conventional viewpoint, pot, jar are different. If seen from the real point of view, all are clay.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah.
So same thing, two viewpoints. One viewpoint will take the conventional way and the other would be taking the real point of view. Okay. So on all the 5 points, two viewpoints would always be there. And for each point, there is one example. So first one was about the lotus. Now is about the clay and the pot. Okay. Now we are going on to the third. In the third, the example is of ocean and the tides. Okay. So first let's read 190.
196.
196. Okay. Yeah, 196. Who will read? Subha? Subha is not there, I think. Shashi Kalaji, you can read.
Just as when the ocean is experienced from the condition of increase and decrease, vriddhi and hani, non-performance, anitya, is true in that respect. Nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the eternal and stable nature of the ocean, non-performance is unreal, untrue. In the same manner, when the Atma is experienced through modal distinctions, paryaya bheda, characterized by increase and decrease, non-performance is real, true in that respect. Nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the eternal unstable nature, non-performance is unreal, untrue. That is, we have to go to page number.
Now page number 200.
200. Third, though the attribute constant nitya, it is made clear that
Niyat, not nitya, it is niyat.
niyat, sorry, correct. Niyat, okay. Constant niyata. It is made clear that in the Bhagavan Atma, it is the subject of pure Suddhanaya and which is the object of true vision. There are no modes characterized by sixfold increase and decrease. Shadguna Hani. nor nor are there modes whose very nature is continual fluctuation in the form of subsidential, or destructive state of Atma. That is Aushamika, Shayopsamika, Shaika. This truth has been illustrated by the example of the ocean. Although the ocean also undergoes tides, there too occurs rise and fall. Yet it never transgresses its boundary. If the ocean were ever to cross its limit, there would be a great deluge in the world. When floods occur in small and large rivers, the cities and villages situated along their banks are devastated, and there is a widespread panic. But if such a flood were to occur in the ocean, what would happen then? Even on the seashore, great cities with multiple stories buildings such as Mumbai are established, yet no one feels anxious that the ocean might overflow. Everyone is well aware of the ocean's inherent nature, and therefore all all remains at ease. They know well that the ocean rises and falls. It always remains within its limits. Hence, there is no cause for worry. Indeed, it is upon the constancy of the ocean's nature, Niyata Subhava, that the entire coastal civilization has developed and continues to thrive. Just as when the ocean is viewed from the view of the tides, it appears to decrease and increase, and such decrease and increase from that standpoint are indeed real and true. From the perspective, the nature of ocean is seen as non-constant, anitya subhavaha. However, if the
Aniyat
ocean
Swabhav, Aniyat Swabhav.
aniyata, correct, aniyata subhavaha. However, if the ocean is viewed from the viewpoint of its constant nature, Niyata Subhava, it neither truly decreases nor increases. It always remains within its limits. Therefore, it is constant, not non-constant. And from this perspective, its non-constant constancy, அது அநித்யபனவா ani anityatapanawa, sir. What is it?
Aniyat
Is
Pana.
uh,
Aniyat Pana.
aniyatpana. That is unreal, untrue. That's all I think. That's all, no?
One more,
One more is there.
two more paragraph. Yeah.
Okay. Since the Atma is Dravya, there do exist in its modes of sixfold increase and decrease. Sadguna Hani, Vriddhi, Rupa, Paryayas, as well as modes of substantial state, like Aushamika Bhava, destructive state, Chaika Bhava, and destructive substantial state, Chaika or Sayopshamik Bhava. When viewed from the standpoint of these modes, the soul appears to undergo increase and decrease and thus seems non-constant, changeful, that is, anitya. However, when viewed from the viewpoint of its eternally steady, constant nature, this non-constancy is unreal, untrue, since the nature of the soul, which is the subject of the pure viewpoint, Suddhanaya, is constant. Therefore, the Bhagavan Atma, which is the subject of the pure viewpoint, such non-constancy does not exist. In this
Stop. So here is the end of the point
third
number
point,
3.
3.
So in the example, you must have understood that
Yes,
as
very
the
good.
rivers, sometimes rivers do flood, and when the river overflows or there is a flood, the cities and towns situated on the banks of that river, they are devastated. Okay. But that doesn't happen in the ocean. So if the ocean floods tomorrow, then what will happen? You just see. Okay. So that doesn't happen because everyone knows that the ocean never crosses its limit. Although there is a rise and there is a rise and what you call there is a constant evolution and extinction of the waves in the ocean. but it never crosses its limit. Okay. Sometimes the waves are high, sometimes are low, but still, if you see from the middle of the ocean is absolutely steady. Okay. So two viewpoints. One to see from the ocean from the side. Okay. That is the modification viewpoint. So ocean is rising and ending. Okay. Rising and receding, coming and receding. Okay. And if you see from the middle of the ocean is absolutely stand still, steady, unmoved. Okay. So two viewpoints. Similarly, the modifications of the soul, okay, just like knowledge, sometimes the knowledge increases so much that you can know the Dvatsang. And sometimes if you go into the one-sensed being, lowest form of one-sensed being, Nigod state, okay, then it becomes tiniest part of the word, okay, very small part. So this modification keeps on fluctuating. Sometimes it increases, sometimes it decreases. So when you look from the modification point of view, the soul is seemingly increasing and decreasing, okay. But when you see from the nature of the soul is constant, niyat. It never changes, okay. It never increases, it never decreases. Only the modification, there is an increase and decrease happening. So when you see from the substance viewpoint, when you see from the real viewpoint, the soul is niyat, constant. Okay. So this is the third point. Now, the fourth point. Rajeshri ji, you read.
Just as when gold experienced the distinctions in the form of qualities such as smoothness, yellowness, heaviness, and so forth, particularly is real. Nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the nature of gold, in which all particularities have dissolved, particularity is unreal, untrue. In the same manner, when the Atma is experienced through distinctions in the form of attributes such as Gyan, Darshan, and so forth, particularly, is real. True in that respect, nevertheless, when it is experienced by approaching the nature of the Atma, in which all particularities have dissolved, particularity is unreal, untrue. Just as when water is
Now,
experienced.
page number 200
200.
no, 208. Straightway go to 208. Yeah, last paragraph.
Through the attribute
Yes,
non-differentiated,
through the attribute.
the Bhagwan Atma, which is a subject of the pure Shuddha, is shown to be distinct from the differentiations of qualities
From all
Gun-bhed. From all differentiations of qualities Gun-bhed. This is clarified by the example of gold. When gold is observed from the viewpoint of qualities inherent within it, it is said to be yellow, smooth, and heavy. And this is indeed true. Yet, when viewed from the viewpoint of the pure nature of gold, where all the differentiations have been dissolved, the gold is simply gold, not yellow, smooth, or anything else. Scroll up.
In the same manner. Next page, Darshit ji. Yeah.
In the same manner, when viewed from the viewpoint of attributes such as Gyan, Darshan, and Charitra, the Bhagwan Atma is Gyan, is Darshan, and is Charitra. Yet, when one approaches the pure nature of the soul, wherein all the differentiations have dissolved, the soul is simply the soul, neither Gyan, nor Darshan, nor Charitra. The subject has all been elaborated in detail in the seventh Gantha, hence no further explanation is required here.
Stop. So you can very well understand this example of gold. Okay. So the gold has different kinds of characteristics like yellow, smooth. Okay. So all these attributes are there when you look it from the modification point of view. But when you look from the point of view of the substance, gold is only gold. It is nothing else. It is neither yellow nor smooth, okay, nor heavy, nothing. It's simply gold. Similarly, in the case of the pure soul, when viewed from the distinctions of attributes like knowledge, belief, conduct, okay. So from the modification point of view, all these are true, okay. But when you see from the nature of the pure soul, from the substance viewpoint, all these attributes, all these distinctions of attributes are dissolved, and you could see only the pure soul without any distinctions. And at that point of time, there is no knowledge, there is no belief, no conduct, okay, only pure soul. So two perspective in each example, you can see. Example is given also there, and the two perspectives also you have to know, okay. So when you see a pure soul from these different adjectives, you are able to realize the true nature of the soul, okay. Your clarity about the object of vision is now very clear, okay. You know clearly what is the pure soul, okay. So that is being explained here in this verse number 14. Now the last point is left, fifth point that is coming up. So Darshiji, you can read. 199, no?
197.
Okay, 190, yeah, 197.
Sorry.
Fifth point.
Just as when water is experienced in a heated state, united with heat, which arises from its instrumental cause, nimit, fire, the union of water with heat appears real, true. Yet when one approaches the experience, the very nature of water, which is of exclusively cool nature, that union of water with heat is unreal, untrue. Similarly, when the Atma is experienced in the state of conjunction with delusion, moha, which arises from its instrumental cause, that is karma, such conjunction appears real, true. Yet when one approaches and experiences the nature of the living being, Jiv Swabhav, which is purely of the nature of awareness, of knowledge itself, then that conjunction is unreal, untrue. Shall I continue?
Page number 209.
209 you have to go.
Okay.
Hmm.
Through the attribute asamyukta, unassociated, the Bhagwan Atma, which is the subject of the Shuddhnai, is shown to be unconnected and distinct from all impure modes, vikari pariyais, such as attachment and aversion. This point is illustrated by the example of hot water. Although water by nature cool, it becomes hot when it comes into contact with fire. Even when it is hot, it remains cool by its intrinsic nature. That is, it never abandons its essential coolness. The meaning is that water never ceases to be cool in its true nature. It is also true that if a person, being deluded by the cool nature of water, were to place his hand in boiling hot water, he would undoubtedly be burned. Yet it is equally true that if someone, considering water to be hot, stops drinking it altogether, he would continue to suffer from thirst. Just as coolness is the inherent nature of water, and hot state is due to its association, its modified state, vibhav bhav, so too remaining unassociated with attachment and aversion is the intrinsic nature of the Atma, while being associated with attachment and aversion is its modified state, vibhav bhav. The subject of the pure Shuddhanai is always the intrinsic nature, Swabhav. Therefore, the soul, which is the subject of the pure viewpoint, is indeed unassociated, asamyukta, with attachment and aversion. Thus,
So
the
this is the
Bhagavad.
end of the fifth point. So in this fifth point, when water associated with heat, it appears to be hot, and it is true from the modification point of view. Okay, but when you see the same water from its nature, okay, from the point of view of its nature never changes. Its cooling nature will always remain. So that hot water, if you put it in the side, after few minutes it will become cold because its nature is cool, right? Similarly, the pure soul, when you see it is in conjunction with delusion, attachments, and aversion, so those things are real from the modification point of view. But when you see from the pure nature of the soul, that conjunction of delusion, attachments, and aversions are untrue. Okay, so there is only pure soul, no conjunction, no attachment, and no aversion. These are all part of the modification. So when you see from the pure soul, so what you have to do by this understanding these 5 examples, you have to apply the Shuddhana, pure viewpoint, because by applying pure viewpoint, you will be able to experience the pure soul. Okay, if you apply the conventional viewpoint, then then we will see that the soul is bound by karmas, touched by karmas. In the next example, second example, abad spast, Ananya. Okay. So in the second example, we saw that the uh, jar and the pot are different when looked from the modification point of view. But when you look it from the clay point of view, it's both are clay only, both are same. Okay. Similarly, in the example of third one, ocean. Okay. So ocean, we could see that there is a increase in there is a waves rising and uh, dissolving in the ocean from the side, from the ocean side, if you see. But when you see from the middle of the ocean is absolutely cool and calm and steady. Okay. In the fourth example, we saw about the gold, that there are attributes of like yellow, heaviness, smoothness, all these are there in gold. Okay. But when you see from the nature of the gold, gold is gold only. Okay. There is nothing yellowness, no smoothness, no heaviness in it. Okay. And the last example, when you see the water with the association of heat, fire, it becomes hot. And it is true that it is hot from the modification point of view. If someone tries to put hands in that, he will get burned because the water is hot from the modification point of view. But the same water, when you view it from the real point of view, from the nature of the substance point of view, it is absolutely cool. So two viewpoints and two kinds of vision that you can see. Okay. Now out of these two, we have to apply always the vision of the nature. Okay. From the viewpoint of the nature. Okay. So when you see from the pure soul from the viewpoint of the nature, it is appearing as one, distinct from others, unified in itself, okay, constant, then without any distinctions and without any association. Okay. So two viewpoints. If you want to realize yourself, you have to use the real viewpoint. Okay. And by understanding the real viewpoint, you can very well experience your pure soul. Okay. So I've shared the chart in Hindi. Probably tomorrow we can get the English one also. But otherwise, in 2-3 days time, it will be ready. But you can study from the textbook and make a similar chart in English by yourself. If you make a chart by yourself, you will remember these adjectives. Okay. Only the part difficult is the terminology. Okay. So these terminologies are new to us. So it will take some time, but with regular practice, you will be accustomed with the terminology, and the understanding is very clear, because the understanding, there is nothing more into understanding, because it's the pure logic. So there are two viewpoints. One is from the modification viewpoint, all these things are true, and from the real viewpoint, all these things are untrue. Okay, that much is the conclusion. So tomorrow we will see Kalash number 11, 12, and then we will see words number 15. Okay, so words number 15 also have these 5 adjectives over there. So that will again be repeated there. So we will not repeat the discussions of this, but we will move on with the other things that are there in the verse, in that verse. Okay, but for this verse number 14, you read at least 3 times. The 5 points that I marked out, one is on the page number 196, and the other is in the page number, I think 200, starts from 200, and wherever I've told you, you have marked it. So if you read this, you will have better clarity, and will be able to differentiate between the two viewpoints, seen from the modification viewpoint, how the soul looks, and seen from the substance viewpoint, how it looks. Okay, and ultimately you have to adopt the substance viewpoint, which is the real viewpoint, to realize yourself. Okay, so today we close here. Time is also over, and tomorrow we will try to repeat. If the chart is ready, we will again study from that chart. But if somebody knows Hindi, they can refer the Hindi chart also. It will become clear. First is the adjectives given, first column. Second column is the examples column, and the third column is of the principal column. And the last column is how to differentiate, how to practice discriminative knowledge. What are the points? Okay. So in the first point, where the soul is untouched and unbound from karma, the point of discriminative knowledge is that the pure soul is different from the non-self, it is different from the dravya karma, it is different from the body. In the second point, which was about oneness, okay, so the pure soul is different from the 1 minute, asaman jati dravya paryay, that is human, hellish, celestial being. Okay, so it is the pure soul is different from all these state of existence. Okay, and it is also different from the body. In the third adjective, niyat, that is constancy, uh, uh, in that from the science of discrimination, we can see that there is nothing called increment or decrement in the pure soul. The soul is quite different. The pure soul is quite different from the temporary increase or decrease in the modification, and also the 3 kinds of states called opshamic, which is subsidential, shaik, which is destructional, and the third one is sayabshamic, which is subsidential cum destructional. The soul is different from all these 3 kinds of sentiments. Okay, and in the fourth the science of discrimination is that the pure soul is different from distinction of attributes. And in the fifth one, the pure soul is different from the rising dispositions of the soul, that is attachment and other alien dispositions. Okay, so 5 kinds of description, 5 kinds of science of discrimination has been practiced in these 5 examples. Okay, hopefully I'll get the English chart tomorrow, then I'll show you. Otherwise, We will start from Kalash number 11, page number 211, and Kalash 12. Then we'll move on to the verse number 15. Okay. Okay. Kalash 13 is also there. So there are 3 Kalash and then verse number 15. Okay. Okay. So you have to read it 2-3 times. Then only you will be able to understand. The terminologies are difficult. Otherwise, the meanings are all clear. 2 viewpoints and you know both the viewpoints. So from that perspective, it is understandable. Okay. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है 9 times नमोकार मंत्र